Hello, Edwina Murphy-Droomer is my name, and I want to warmly welcome you to this interview in the series where I am speaking to phenomenal feminine entrepreneurs in order to learn their life-changing insights into taking control of our prosperity, our freedom, and our beautiful future. Today, I am delighted to introduce you to Izdihar Jamil. Izdihar, welcome, and thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you so much, Edwina. And hello, everybody. How are you? Hope you're having a fantastic day. And may peace be upon you. And hello, Summer, as you can see me with my background.
Well, it's summer for you in California, but it's winter for us in Australia. So we get to, we cover all seasons and continents in this series. Izdihar, for those that haven't had the pleasure of meeting you until now, I would love to start with your story, which I know is extensive. And it's really fascinating. Your journey changing countries, moving from being a computer scientist into being a business coach and entrepreneur in a new country. So let us know, tell us your journey.
Thank you. I mean, where do I start, Edwina? There's so many things to share to all these fabulous women. But knowing what, Edwina, you were sharing earlier, I think I'll just start with how it all started.
Please,
it all started with my grandma. When I was little, whenever I go home to see my grandma, on her dining table, she would always have stuff on there, whether it's jewelry, whether it's clothes, whether it's hijab, whether it's food. And I call her Mamin. Mamin, why do you have all these things, on your table? It's like, yeah, so that I can sell it. Why? So that I can make money. And my grandma, she's a housewife. But one of the things I learned from my grandma is that she doesn't have to wait for my grandpa to give her things. Like she wants something, she just go out and figure it out herself. That using her passion, she's really good with arts and crafts, like the sewing. She sews clothes, she's a good baker and everything. So she doesn't let things stop her. She would go travel. She would figure it out herself with her travel money. She wants a jewelry. She would figure it out how to make money. So I think my grandma kind of like instilled that entrepreneur, even though she didn't finish high school, she all that kind of thing, but she kind of instilled those little things in me. Until today, she would say, you don't have to buy gifts for me, just give me money. She just loves money so much. And she bought her own car, and she doesn't have a 9-to-5 job, but she figured it out. So that all kind of like the seed was planted. My mom, dad, aunties, uncle, they're all professionals. But there was something in me. I'm the closest to my grandma. So something in me just kind of like, there's something more. Freedom, moving country. I was in academia before. So I'm like, awesome academia, research and everything. But I felt there's something more in me beyond the 9-to-5. So for those of you who are listening, I have a baby. He's just like meltdown. My husband is there. Don't worry. He's safe. He's okay.
I can hear him, and
yeah. So don't worry, everybody. He's okay. He's safe. My husband is there. I've fed him and everything. So he just wants mommy and cuddles, but he's okay. So that's kind of how I got started. And as life goes on, I moved country. Like when in my first pregnancy, I was doing my PhD in England. My husband and I had an idea, like, we want to have healthy organic food. So we created this business model, delivering organic produce from the farm to the customer's door because of our needs. And that's it, isn't it? Sometimes it just comes from your passion, sometimes comes from the need, and it just comes from that. And then my husband and I just started the business, and we didn't waited to have thousands in marketing or advertising. I remember that week, hey, do you want to buy some chicken? Do you want to buy some lamb? Do you want some meat? Do you want to buy vegetables? I'm going to the farm, And we did it with no money down on our side. It's all customer paid in advance. It's just really is that simple. People just overcomplicate things. Idea, turn it around, put a method in, ask people to pay, and then go and deliver. Simple as
Amazing.
that.
Amazing.
Thank you.
I have so much. I've got so much admiration for you because I'm a complicator. I'm a master at complicating things. So I just have so much admiration for people that can just see the straight line, the straight road to get where they want to go. It's awesome.
Absolutely. Thank you. And it really is that even today, like I just came up with my book project, Women Who Lead. And I'm like, okay, Women Who Lead, I want to have this 3 ideas, this 3 plans, 1, 2, 3. That's it. And then I would just went and invited people, have a conversation, and they love it. People who love it going to say yes. People who are not going to say no, thank you. That's it. And just sold it. So it's just as simple as that. If you know the fundamental of business, that's why I feel that as a computer scientist, I didn't just like, ta-da! Oh my business today, make 6 figures. It took me 10 years to learn and master the fundamentals of business. Like when I did my PhD, it's like 4 years of degree, 2 years of master's, another 4 or 5 years of, PhD. So it's like 10 years. So how can you have a 6-figure business within 30 days of leaving notice? So it took me 10 years. That's me. I'm probably slower than the rest, but mastering the fundamentals, losing money, making money, losing money, making money, learning. And when I read Ken Honda's book, Edwina, it's called Happy Money, he said the common theme in millionaires is that they all lose money in the beginning. That's part of the process. I'm like, okay, I'm the future millionaire. That's part of it. So build your fundamentals. If you're thinking of transitioning, build your fundamentals, whether it's marketing, it's sales, your mindset. It used to scare me to take people's money. I felt so guilty. I really do. I couldn't take people's money. When I do take it, I either give it back or I self-sabotage myself. I'm like, you don't have to pay me, just take it. And I made a loss. Or, I didn't make anything. Now it's just a completely different me. I've learned from the past. I've done the clearing. I went through all that. And here I am. So I hope that was helpful to anybody that's watching. Build your fundamentals, practice things, learn things. Most likely you may gonna lose money, and that's okay. That's part of the criteria of being a millionaire, okay?
I think you've tapped on lots of things there. And one of the things that I know is that, like, asking for money is one thing, but spending money on ourselves is another as well. And, if we think about it as investing in ourselves, we're quite happy to invest in, schools and going to university as you did, all those different things. But seeing, the courses and the things that we need to learn as entrepreneurs, even buying the book on understanding about money and money values, it's investing in ourselves as opposed to just spending money. It's a different way of looking at it. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think also coming from the corporate world, I'm used to the company investing in me, meaning the company pays for my training, for my expenses. I hardly have to have a penny out. Or maybe to buy coffee on my training, that's probably the most. But, all expenses are paid by, my former employer. I didn't have to think about it, even though it was, I have my salary and all that. I'm not used to it as an employee. So that had to have a shift in the transition to invest in myself, because there's no scholarship to be an entrepreneur, isn't it? I wish there is a scholarship. You have a scholarship to be a doctor, accountant, computer scientist, what have you not. So there is the transition there that you do have to learn. It's a completely new skill set that is not being taught at school. Even money management is not being taught at school. So just be prepared. Like how I did it was that I created a separate account, a piggy bank or bank account, however you want to call it, that is just for my education. So every month, you have your savings, you have your investment, you have your necessity and all that. So I had an account that is just for my education and growth and development. So I knew every month that I could use that money in that account with integrity and invest in myself. So that could probably be a tip for any of you ladies that are listening, and how you're going to have your money management. That's how I got started, and I've practiced it ever since. And it's been over 10 years now that I'm still doing it.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. And I talk a lot about, we'll always find money for the things that we value. And as moms, as women, it's often easier to put that value on other people. You know, like we'll find things for our kids with, you know, if they have something that they want to do, we'll inevitably find the money for them to do it. But valuing ourselves is really, and spending that money on ourselves to grow and learn is another step in self-care, self-love, and our growth. Yeah. Oh, I think you've frozen. We had a little glitch there, but we're back. So what I would love to ask you, you know, you've worked with a lot of women in building their business. What do you think is the number one thing that gets in the way of women creating the vision that they have?
Fear and overthinking it.
Yeah.
You're always going to have fear. Always. Until today, I still have fear. Yeah. But I feel that fear is good, because it means that I'm living. It means that I'm growing. Yeah. And the overthinking part, you know, like they want to know everything, like all the 1,000 different things. And then when they start to build that, thinking this, and this, Edwina, it just scares them and make them pull back. Yeah. Whereas smart women, this is what smart women does. Smart women takes one thing and run with it. Yeah. We don't need to wait till the 20 thing, the 20, 30, 100 different things, because the brain thinks overthink, and it just pulls you back. It's a natural thing for the brain and ourselves to pull us back, to keep us safe, right? Yeah. Because we don't know what we're going to be doing. It's the unknown. So the overthinking, overcomplicating, whereas simplicity is the best. Again, smart women just take one thing. You just need one thing and you run with it. Yes. If you could know one business fundamental and you just run with it, you're going to trip, you're going to fall, you're going to roll over the grass. That's okay. But you're always going to be a step further and keep moving and moving and moving, versus you're there thinking everything. Yeah. 10 years on, still at the same place. Whereas me, I have one thing. All right, I'm just going to go with it. Ta-da! All right, the next thing. Okay, rebuild. Like I always believe that you just have to take the first step, and then the second step will be revealed to you. Yep. Somehow, God, the universe, the divine is going to reveal to you the next step. Yep. And then the next step is going to reveal to you at the exact right moment. You just got to trust and flow, but the first step is always the scariest. That's it. Just one thing at a time.
It absolutely is. And I think if we wait until we feel like we're 100% ready, it's never going to happen. It doesn't happen. Never. I liken it to having children. You know, if we knew all the steps that were going to happen after we gave birth, or even after we get pregnant, we probably would never do it. I don't know that you're ever 100% ready. You just work it out as you go. We're the masters at it.
Yeah, exactly. One thing at a time. Even when you're cooking, isn't it? You just do one thing at a time. You chop the onions first, and then you add the garlic, and then you add the ginger, whatever it is you're making. It's always one after the other. It's never all at the same time. And that is where the stew thingy just messes with any woman. Yeah. Whereas if you take it one step at a time, it's not so scary. Yeah. One thing at a time, you can do it. And it's easy. So overcomplicating, overthinking, it doesn't have to be perfect. It's just got to be done. Yep. That's it. And every master was once a disaster. So if you make a disaster, it's okay, because every master was once a disaster. So have fun with it. Yeah.
And I think we have, you know, most of us have grown up with the idea to be totally ashamed of failure or making mistakes. And I think it's as entrepreneurs, I think everybody needs to get rid of that idea. but it's particularly as entrepreneurs, we need to be okay with it. I had a business coach that I worked with for a long time, multi-millionaire, very, very successful. And I remember hearing her say, I've made a commitment to fail 10 times this year. And it was her way of just like, I'm just going to keep going and keep pushing myself. And it just was something that has stuck in my head and reminded me it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay. As long as you're moving forward, as long as you're trying things, you're going to be growing. Yeah.
Absolutely. And it's just that, isn't it, Edwina? Like correction, rejection, failure, it's just a correction towards a destined success. Because I remembered that, we're back again. Hello.
We're back again, Izdihar. Look, I know that you're needing to be outside because of your beautiful baby inside. So I'm grateful, and we're going to persist with this. It's all good. So I think, what we talked about a little bit before we started recording this interview was the stuff that goes on behind the scenes. So when we're looking at people's businesses from the front, and, they've got all these courses and they've got their Instagram page and their Facebook page and everything looks, fairly shiny and neat. We're not seeing all the things that go on behind the scenes. So I think those conversations are really valuable because it normalizes the journey that we're all on. So we talked about, the failure and the mistakes and the things that go wrong. So maybe if we look at, I know that you've done several books now, but there was a first book. This book that goes with this series is my first book. But if we look at that and the things that maybe, the strategies that you've used when something goes wrong, or you get in that state of, am I good enough to do this perhaps, or imposter syndrome kicks in. I don't know if those things are real for you, but, what goes on behind the scenes when you need to pull yourself out of something that hasn't worked as you imagined?
A lot, right? It takes a lot, whether the self-worth, whether I'm worthy, am I doing right? Am I good enough? Why don't people want it? So for example, I'll just give a simple example of it. When I did my first book project, I haven't done any book project before that, but I'm like, oh, should I do it? How am I going to do it? I've never done it before. When I talk to people, I haven't got the credibility to say that I can do this because I haven't done it before. But it's just, I'm like, oh, I don't even have a designer yet. I'm gonna talk to people. And literally, I just went on pages or like a PowerPoint, and I just created one page. My picture stuck on there, the title, the top, and the subtitle of it. And I just use that and have a conversation with people.
Yeah.
Like literally, there's no designer. I don't even know about Canva then or any editing stuff. I just literally like, how can I have this vision? Because people buy into vision, don't they? Especially when it's like something you can see. Like, like if you have a vision like this is obviously a professionally designed, but I literally had my face in there, the title and the subtitle. That's all I did. And then I just have a conversation with people, reach out to people. Hey, I'm doing this book project. Would you be interested to be with it? And even the thought I shouldn't charge for it or what have you not, because it takes a whole entourage to have a book project. It really does. You really need a whole entourage for it. So I kind of like, look, this is my commitment. I know this is my cost. I know what I want on top of the cost, because that's for me. You always have to put something for yourself, darling. Don't forget yourself. So this is what I want. This is the cost, and this is my vision.
Yep.
And just I went for it. And a lot of people said, there's few people said no, and a few people said yes. And that's it.
Yeah.
Just kept it really simple over and over and over. And then as I have conversation, I listen. I just listen to the feedback. What works, what doesn't work. And then I tweak it. My offer over and over and over again.
Yeah.
So that there's the magic formula that comes in that is a straight yes.
Yep.
And now whenever I go on conversation, because I've been on thousands of conversations, I know what works. I don't even have a script.
Yep.
When I first started, I had the script, word for word. I literally wrote it word for word. This is the pause. This is the next one. This is the answer. I literally had it. And when I went into calls, I didn't have the script. I panicked.
Yeah.
The reality is the script isn't me. Like, the people don't buy me because of the script, right? But I needed it because I was starting up, and that's okay. Yeah. And now I just like go, hello, how are you? How are you doing? How can I help you? And it's so fun now because I get to flow.
Yeah.
And I don't have to work really hard to convince people that I'm good at what I do. My brand does itself because I've got all the results now. It's just that, Edwina. Like, even though I was scared, even when I go on sales call, I couldn't breathe.
Yep.
I just couldn't. Like, my chest tightens.
I know.
I'm like, and then reading the script. If any of you know what it's like to ask, and then make funny, and then after that, I can breathe. And then, now I have to ask for money now. And it really is practice.
It is.
And over and over. And then I just shifted my mindset. Yep. I'm just going to have a chat with my best friend.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
If I make a sale, awesome. If not, that's cool too. Like, I've done my job. So mindset shift, behind the scenes, showing up every day, showing up no matter what. And it just becomes comfortable now. Now, if I don't go on sales call, I'm like, what's going on, Dan? Where are you? So there you go.
It is.
Practice. That's it.
I well remember doing my first interview series and sending the invitation to speakers to connect with me. And there was a little piece of me that was quietly relieved when they said no, because then I didn't have to, have the conversation with them. I was so overwhelmed by the whole idea. And then when they said yes, it was like, oh my gosh, do they really, do they think I'm somebody I'm not? We all do this, but you just got to start there so that you can move forward. And it does take vulnerability. It is vulnerable to have these conversations and to admit that we're not all perfect and fabulous behind the scenes, but I don't think that conversation actually serves anyone, because it just is paralyzing the idea of perfection. So I think that vulnerability is undoubtedly something that you've had to face, especially moving from Malaysia to the US. It was Malaysia, I'm right? Yeah.
Yes, Malaysia, England, and then India, and then back to England, and then here. So a couple of continents there.
Yeah, okay. So, speaking out of, for somebody from marginalized communities and, the conversations and the judgments, and how have you used vulnerability in your business, and how has it served you?
One of the things that, like, I grew up in Malaysia. So if you've been to Malaysia, it's a really peaceful, multicultural country. So, like, I get to be who I want to be with confidence.
Yeah.
But when I came to America, it is still a multicultural country. But the moment that I came, it was the year of the election, the transition between Obama and Trump.
Yeah.
It was a lot of rah-rah then. And it was the first time that I experienced, I don't know what you want to call it, hate crimes, discriminations. When I go to the store, people would just harass me and just would ask me, like, I'm just here to do my grocery, okay? And it was like at a posh place. So posh, so I'm like, and then I just, to the point that I went to the staff, this person is bothering me. I'm just here to do my grocery. And then I was shaking. I literally had people throw shit at my doorstep for my kids to find. My house was vandalized. When I go pick up my kids from school, I was called horrible names. It's the transition, and it just made me really, really sad and scared, because I don't feel safe going out. If you're a mom, you would know how it feels like when you don't feel safe. And my son, they literally knock on the door, and my son opened the door and then found those shit at the doorstep, literally. And he was like, Mommy, why are they doing this? It was only 4. So it
Oh
was
my
a lot
goodness.
of things going on, and that like literally knocked my confidence down. I felt like I made the biggest mistake of my life coming to America. You know, the land of the dreams, right? But
Mhm.
didn't expect that going on. And I shared that in my book, She Made It Happen. And then when I asked one of my good friends who's been living here for, who's been living here for a while, she said, "Oh, that's common." I'm like, "What? That is not common." So it was the transition thing, and I was scared. And that was the moment that I felt that God directed me to running my business, because I had to shift my mindset. Because the victim
Yeah.
mentality is making me sick. So
Yeah.
God gave me the sign to focus on something else, which just happens to be my business. And then here I am. And it started to shift my mindset.
Mm.
So there's a lot of vulnerability, marginalized community. And now when I go out, people just like, "Hello," waved at me, honked at me,
Yeah.
say, "Hello, how are you?" Because I've shifted. For things to change, I must change first.
Yeah.
I couldn't change America. Like
Yeah.
I could be the president, like if I wanted to. I'm like, God, like no, but I couldn't change how people, society perceptions. I can't be bothered to go on a rally because it's not just not me. But for things to change, I must change first. So I
Yeah.
changed my mindset, I changed my perception, I changed my focus, I changed my intention. All that starts with me. I start to be healthier, happier, focus on helping women. And I remember on the 13th of May 2018 was the first time when I went on Facebook Live. I was just like, I was so scared. I prepared for hours. I literally cried on the first video because it was so
Yeah.
overwhelming. What are people going to say about me? I don't think they're going to like me because I'm wearing the hijab, this and this and this. You don't know what you're talking about. And I just literally cried. It was so overwhelming. But I just kept on going and going and going. And then here I am. Like people see you at the front, right, on the video like this, but they don't know what happens on the back end. For me to be speaking to you here with ease and confidence, Edwina, it took me thousands of videos to be able to be confident
Yeah.
like this.
Yeah.
And there's always vulnerability, there's always fear. People see the wins, but
Yeah.
they don't know what it takes for you to show up. Like Forbes, for example, right? One of the most iconic brands. One of my favorite women of all time, and one of my coaches said, "Hey, you should go for Forbes." I'm like, "No, Forbes doesn't want me. Forbes just want women like you. Like, how many Muslim women just on Forbes? Like, no, they don't want me." And then she's like, "What's going on, women? Don't you know you're hot property? Like you're hot property." Like, I'm like, and then my other coach keep on saying, "Now you're the prize," kind of like. And then the moment that I kind of like, okay, that's it. I'm going for Forbes. I'm a hot property. I am the prize. And she helped me to, do all what needs to be done to secure that. Within a couple of weeks, a few weeks, I got into Forbes as a full feature, one of the most iconic brand of all time. Me, marginalized community, Muslim, immigrant, Asian, whatever, all the things that are crosses in my name, I got in and I got an overwhelming response. But for me to get there, no, they don't want me. I don't think I'm good enough. But once I set up my mind, I'm a hot property and I'm the prize. Go for it. Complete different mindset and result shows. Intention goes, energy flows, and result shows. So shift things around a little bit.
That's an amazing story and just highlights what an incredibly courageous woman you are. It's really, really just truly inspiring. I think the two things that I hear there that I think are worth just recapping on, one is the power of having your, the community or the people that you listen to tune into, even if it was just one friend that stood beside you to help you move through that stage. But also, it is about who we're being. And I just think that this is a topic that needs as much conversation as possible, because we focus so much on the doing, the things that we need to do to change things. but it's the being who we're being that actually makes the difference. So can we just go back to that? Because what I heard you say was that when you were believing that you were a victim was when people were treating you poorly. And when you changed who you saw yourself as, the way people treated you changed. Is that right?
Absolutely. And for the ladies that listen to this conversation, being, when I first heard the word being, I'm like, what the heck is being? You know, what on earth is this? So it's just an essence of who you choose, your thoughts, your feelings, your behaviors. It's your energy or aura, as some people want to call it, isn't it?
Yeah.
And whatever result you have is from who you choose to be in that moment.
Yeah.
And absolutely. So who am I being changes all the time. I could be scared. I could be courageous. I could be courageous and still scared.
Yeah.
I could be committed, unstoppable, happy, loving, generous, kind, loyal, whatever it is that I'm being at the moment. And it truly is like the shift comes from here. Like I remember the saying, like people say, if you go to people, if you're on a sales call, for example, you go to people, just say sausage, 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 you flick your hair and it's a yes. Like, you know, it's just who you are being in that moment, you know, your essence, regardless of what you say, people buy people. People truly buy people. Yes, you say things, you have exciting products and everything, but they truly buy who you are. Whether, like, you know, when you speak on the phone, you would give them the energy, whether you put a post on social media, people could feel you, send an email, people could feel you. So it's just the essence of who you are. And I remember I was at a training and we played a game, no conversation, and we had to guess what that word is. And it's just by tuning in to the present, you know, calm your mind, listen to your heart, follow your heart, and getting that word. What the heck is that word out of the 1,000 words? Obviously they simplified the word, narrowed down the word, but still, out of the 10 word, which one is it, right? So it's just that you forget who you are being. Like, if you in a room and someone is really angry, they just have to pass by you, you would feel the anger. Yeah. You just like, oh God, walk away. So, and some people, it's just delight. Yeah. You just want them so much around you. Yeah. That is the being who you choose to be in that moment. And the lighter, happier, healthier you are is when you clean up a lot of your mess, like the BS that's in your head. That's when you become healthier, happier, more confident, lighter, loving, kind of that in that headspace. Yeah, victim is also a being that it's just it's what you choose to be in that moment.
Yeah. Yeah, I talk about being a source of an energy. You know, it's almost contagious. Well, it is contagious. So, you know, as I'm sitting here listening to you, I'm just grinning and I feel so happy. But I'm just, you know, like I'm picking up on your beautiful, light, bubbly energy, and we get to be very aware of the energy that we're putting out into the space, into the people around us, because it's contagious. It's contagious. Yeah. The whole idea behind this series and why I talk about phenomenal women and phenomenal entrepreneurs came from a Maya Angelou poem. I don't know if you know who Maya is, but Oprah paid homage to her by reciting this poem, and she started doing it in 1978. And she said, when I first started reciting the poem Phenomenal Woman, I didn't believe I was one. I spoke it into being, which is exactly, you know, the conversation that we're having here.
Absolutely. And words create worlds. So, darlings, be mindful of what you say. Yes. Words create worlds. So be really mindful. Like I've always been taught, if you haven't got anything nice to say, don't say it. So like my best friend, we were talking about, she's like renting a place. She's like, oh, I only want them to raise it by $100. And she literally got it by $100 because she manifested. I'm like, you should have said, I want no raise, I want it to be as it is. She probably have gotten that. So darlings, if you're watching this, be really, really mindful of your words. If you haven't got anything nice to say about yourself or other people, don't say it, because it affects things, doesn't it, Edwina?
Absolutely.
Your being, the people around you, it just affects things. So choose your words wisely. Like Oprah, I'm speaking it into being, of being a phenomenal woman, and here she is now.
I hear people say, I don't know if I've got it in me to be an entrepreneur, and I say, let's change that to I am an entrepreneur and just make it be so.
Yes, exactly. I am. It's that, isn't it? Even in the word, the Think and Grow Rich, you have to speak it into being as if you already have it now. Like on Forbes, I could see it. Like I could vision myself and see after the hot property stuff, right? After the mindset, I could see and vision things. Like literally, I'm there, and any of my vision, literally, I'm there. It's done. It is done. And there you go.
One of my favorite influencers, Ashley Graham, she's a model, and I just adore her. But I remember her, she was on the front cover of Vogue magazine, I think it was last Christmas, pregnant in a big gold gown, and she'd actually put that on her vision board and in order to make it come true. And I just love hearing those stories. I love them. So Izdihar, I know that you have a gorgeous gift for our audience. Did you want to take a minute to let them know what that is?
Sorry, could you repeat that, Edwina?
Oh, I said, I know that you have a lovely gift for our audience. Did you want to take a minute to let them know what that is?
Absolutely. So for those of you who don't know, I help women to be the #1 authority and the go-to expert in their field. So I've created like the 10 best ideas that you can do so that you can be the go-to expert in your field. And the reason being is that the top 5 to 10%, they're the one that get paid the most. They're the one that people are seeking to. They're the one that get all the attention, whereas the remainder are like not being seen or getting there or have to push through a lot. And I just wanted to break through all that. Like, why can't we be in the top 10% or the 5% or the 1% and become the go-to expert in our field? So I've hacked out 10 ideas that you can do that are proven to get you to solidify your position as the go-to expert in your field. Like when you want to see a doctor, you want to see the best, right? You wouldn't want to take any risk and see all these dodgy people. So the same in business. So there's 10 hacks that I've discovered that's going to help to fast track your authority. And that's what people are wanting. They want to work with the best. They want to work with authority. They want to work with someone who's got the credibility with that. So it's 10 best ideas to help you to be a go-to expert in your field.
That's so generous. Thank you. As a final question, I would love to ask you, because I know that you've lived all over the world now and you've seen and done many different things. So what does a rich and prosperous life look like to Izdihar? Because I think it looks like, well, I know it looks like something different to everybody. So what is that picture for you?
So freedom has always been my biggest value, and my family is the most important one to me. So for me, it's just really simple, like the freedom to be with my family, with my children, as and when I choose to. Like if you see me going on calls, I would have my baby with me. Like on interviews, I'm like, okay, babe, you need to take care of him. But on calls, I would take my baby with me. He would go on, sales calls with me, or conversation or collaboration calls with me. I get to be with my kids. I get to volunteer their classes. I get to be there here when they need me, and I get to support my husband. My husband has a really demanding job, so I get to support him to be successful in his career and have my family. And in return, as you can see, he's looking after the baby. That's what is important to me, right? Marriage is about that. It's about sometimes you give, sometimes you take. There can never be an equal balance on the scale. That's where the trap is. And the freedom of time, the freedom of money, the freedom of choices. That for me is the prosperous, exciting, abundance, just freedom. I can breathe, I can do and choose as and when I want to. I can buy the things I want to with me, like how my grandma taught me, right? She wanted something, she goes for it. She doesn't wait for my grandpa to buy it for her. My grandpa gives her a salary every month. If she needs to spend more, my grandpa would have a credit. She has to pay it off. So, like my grandma taught me the freedom. She bought her own car. That to me is freedom. Time, money, energy, choices, my family. And yes, having multi-million is fantastic, but this is what makes me happy. Creation, joy, collaboration, and my health and my family.
I love that we rounded it back right to where you started, back to your grandmother and the role model that she was for you. It's been magic. Thank you so much for this conversation.
Thank you so much, Edwina, and thank you so much, ladies, for tuning in. I wish you all the best. Believe in yourself, because literally you have 10 out of 10 capabilities. You truly do. You just need to clear out all the BS inside your head and honed in to who you are being. And go for it.
Love it. Love it. That's the perfect way to finish. Thank you so much, Izdihar.
Thank you.